Welcome everyone to the very first podcast for FuckUp Nights Montréal. My name is Natalie Riviere from Cometa, and I'm here representing the founding team that you will also hear from, including Louis-Félix Binette from Escouade Génie Collectif, Vanessa Mueggler from GI Quo Vadis, and Josh Miller representing FL Forlandau and P-Visio. In this very first episode, you're joining us for our 3rd year anniversary celebration. We'll start you off with a brief behind-the-scenes chat featuring the co-founding team of F.U.N Montreal, and then a keynote by Montreal mogul Andy Nulman. Big thanks goes to Shopify for hosting this party, as well as our partners Four Origins Microbrewery and Bad Monkey Popcorn. To join the fun with us, you can visit fuckupnights.com/Montreal. Enjoy the conversations. Welcome, everyone. This is Natalie Riviere. I'm extremely thrilled to be here with the F.U.N Montreal team. F.U.N stands for FuckUp Nights, and we've been sharing failure stories with the Montreal community for 3 years as of today. FuckUp Nights is an international movement. It's reached currently over 300 cities, 90 countries, over 30 languages. With monthly events of people sharing professional failure stories. This has expanded into changing corporate culture towards authenticity, vulnerability, and empathy with private events. It's evolved into academic events and literally changing policies in support of entrepreneurs. And it's fun.
Natalie, you didn't fuck up a thing in that sentence. I think that was awesome. Thank you. This is, we have so much fun with all these entrepreneurs. Listen, I remember when I first got into this, or when I first got into whatever, you keep calling me corporate, Natalie, and when I first got into corporate, I wanted to learn from other people's mistakes, let alone, hey, I learned probably better from my own mistakes and my own fuck-ups, but I really wanted to learn from others, and listening to all these inspiring stories, and Andy Nulman that's about to come up, who's lived a long entrepreneurial life filled with plenty of fuck-ups. That's truly awesome. And this is a great group that we have here.
I was even going to play on the fact that Natalie said that we've been doing this for the last 3 years, but we've been fucking up like far, far beyond 3 years. So just to bring all of that together. And one of the things that I love about this group so much is that it's so authentic. When people actually show up, they vibe and they connect with the audience and connect with the crowd. So we're looking for that tonight too.
And what did you think, LFB, when I was like, hey, do you want to do this with me?
Yeah, I think what's the one fun thing about FuckUp Nights, sometimes people say that, why do you celebrate failure? We're not about celebrating failure or saying failing is fun. It's not about, it's not fun. It's never fun to fuck up or to be in front of a fuck up. You're not always the cause.
It's fun to tell the stories afterwards.
Yeah, that's it. But failing and facing fuck ups and facing unplanned, events that are unplanned for is normal. And what we want to say and bring, and I think what people like Andy tonight, but every other night that we do this every month, it's saying that we will all fail. And if you say you'd never fail, you don't fail, you're either full of shit or you fail to see, you actually fail to see what could teach you the greatest lessons in life. And if you're an entrepreneur and you cannot accept failure, then you're in for a very, very rough ride. And I think that's why we're here. That's why people keep coming.
Something that I've observed so much is the fact that we look at people who have failed and we look at the fact that they have got up and tried again, and we see courage and we see that as such an amazing thing and that they're brave. But when we fail internally, or when we do something that's not amazing, we really turn inwards on ourselves, and we don't see that same courageous, brave person who's facing these fears and rising and getting up. And so I think it's really to normalize what failure truly means. And it's, what did Andy say? Don't let the haters get you down, or something like that. It's don't worry about what other people say. It's all about you continuing and learning, because nothing really is that bad.
Failure is not death. It's just the beginning.
The global team says that failure sucks but instructs. And actually all of the research that has been done with the Failure Institute would define failure as a state of mind. Like, if you actually think about what failure is, it's a state of mind. And like Andy will show you tonight, he talked about his greatest failure. There's a lot of ways that he could have taken that story, but the state of mind that he had to position his experience as his greatest failure, you will hear about. So what do you guys think our biggest failures were over the last 3 years?
I mean, I could talk about the fact that like we didn't have the video working, or we didn't have the popcorn, or we didn't have whatever, but I don't believe that any one of us really see failure as this like ominous, terrible thing, because we all comprehend that it's short term, and that the fact of trying is worth way more than the pain that failure causes in the short term. For me personally, it's this weird, it has nothing to do with Fuck Up Nights. It's really like this failure in seeing the fact that I'm able to do it, which is one of the reasons why I joined Fuck Up Nights at the beginning, was to get over the fact of like not liking to speak in public and getting up in front of a crowd. And like that to me is a failure I wanted to overcome, of not seeing the fact that I am very capable in doing that, and being with you guys and coming up every month and talking and saying thank you has really like improved my own confidence and self-morale. So I think that to me is what the reason, or is what I love so much about Fuck Up Nights, is really building this confidence and building this community for people to rise up. And I feel it personally, so.
I think that's great, Vanessa. And for me, it's not so much about the fuck ups, like she's saying. For me, it's about the resilience. Every time that we've had a little fuck up, there has been an instant rebound. It has been an instant, whether we laugh it off, whether we joke about it, whether we make it look like it was done on purpose. Which
I like to call that pivoting.
We definitely pivot, whether it's trip and pivot, whether it's trip, spill your beer and pivot, whatever that may be. But the resilience and the bounce back, I think that's the best lessons that I've learned amongst this whole group. What about you, Louis-Félix?
There's all sorts of levels of failure, and we could look at everything we didn't do. But I think in a lot of things that sometimes we failed because we lacked the planning, but we never lacked the conviction and the belief that this is important. And so even though whenever we forgot to plan something, or forgot to actually like think about all the possibilities, we were in it for such the right reasons, and so convinced by how important it is to have Fuck Up Nights, and to build this community, and to bring these people, and to create this mindset, that there's no level of fuck up that could surprise us so much that we wouldn't know what to do. Like, we have it in us to do this, and life can throw anything at us, even our own lack of planning skills. We'll still survive, because like what we do is, we feel it's not just like it's the right thing to do. Like, we're so convinced about the usefulness and the timeliness of having these conversations that we can survive just about any kind, like hurricane scale fuck ups.
That's called a growth mindset. You can learn more about it through the Failure Institute and FuckUpNights.com.
Now, after all these stories and what we're sharing, we're about to actually hear a phenomenal story. Actually, not just one story, there's several stories with Andy Nulman, who's probably best known for Just for Laughs, but definitely with his other businesses, currently Play the Future. And he is an entertainer, and he has the ability to say the word fuck and share those stories. And that's what you're going to tune into. That's what you're going to hear. That's what you're going to love. You're going to be inspired by, and you're going to laugh. So stay tuned and enjoy.
Thank you, Josh, for that. And thank you, honestly, to our community. We've had 4 Origins microbrewery with us for a long time now, as well as Bad Monkey Popcorn. The beer and popcorn are clutch and have become a staple and part of Fuck Up Nights culture at our events in Montreal. So big thank you to them. Thanks, Vanessa Mueggler. Thanks, Isa Kolish. Thanks, Josh Miller. Thanks, Louis-Félix Binette.
Hello. Salut tout le monde. Hi, everybody. Bienvenue. Welcome to our 3rd birthday party. We're a bunch of toddlers tonight, so, it's okay. We're going to get away with a few things. This is really loud. Can we turn this down? Yeah. I've been called worse. It's okay. Before we get started, because we have a great lineup tonight, vraiment du monde excellent qui sont parmi nous ce soir. It's going to give us their great stories, their fuck up stories. Don't be afraid to say it. It's a 4-letter word. And we're doing a podcast. So I'm going to speak into the mic. Jeez, these rules keep changing. Stop changing the rules. Fuck. Natalie Riviere, our fearless leader of FuckUp Nights, come talk a little bit about our hosts for the night.
Hola todos. Merci tout le monde. Alors, merci d'être parmi nous. Thank you for the returning FuckUp fans. Merci à ceux de vous que c'est la première fois. Bienvenue. It's been 3 years that I've had the honor to not only represent FuckUp Nights here in Montreal, mais aussi l'organisation mondiale. C'est un mouvement, littéralement, qui maintenant touche plus que 300 villes. And here we speak English and French y también español. A veces hay gente aquí que entiende los español. Muy bien, mi gente, gracias. It actually started in Mexico. 5 friends drank enough mezcal to warm up and get to the point of the night where they started admitting failures and then realized that they all had one. And the next day realized how good it was to go there. And so Viva Mexico style, they put it on social media. And next thing you know, this city wants one and this person wants to join. And now it's literally in over 90 countries, happening in over 30 languages, and has touched over 1 million people. We'll talk a little bit more about the way that it's extended and how we're getting ready to broaden it here in Montreal. But it's really special to be here specifically at Shopify tonight. And so Bolico, if you're available, Bolico, nice. I'll invite him up to the stage. Fun fact, I met Bolico at a FuckUp Nights. We were doing one of our monthly events at Havas. Come on up, Bolico. And that's how this started. That's how we got here. It's an amazing community. And so thank you for hosting us and for sticking with us. And maybe you can let us know a bit about why we're here in Shopify.
Yeah, so bonjour, hi, welcome to Shopify. We're really happy to have you here. Recently, we reached 1 million merchants being served worldwide on our platform. Now, that's a big deal, but we wouldn't have gotten here without our values. And one of our values is being a constant learner. So part of that is learning from the wins, but also learning from the fuck-ups. It's part of our DNA, it's part of our culture, and it's something we do literally like almost every day. We have internal presentations where people from different teams talk about that. We do that every Friday as well, where we have presentations from different teams, like Ask Me Anything from our CEO, things like that. So these kind of events really align with us because it's something that we do every day. We celebrate our failures, we're transparent about it, you can see what's been going on. And we're really here as well. My role specifically in Montreal is I used to be a community manager, and now I'm on our social impact team, and I'm here to help entrepreneurs. So if you're interested, if you're working with marginalized youth specifically, please feel free to message me. And if you're interested in all things Shopify, we do have some events in our office for people who buy and for people who sell, so for our merchants. Those are called shop class sessions. So if you're interested to learn more about how to sell for the holidays, those kind of things, those are free for new and aspiring merchants. And you can find that online just with a quick Google search. Thank you again, and hope you have a great evening.
Yeah. Now, there is one important person that we haven't heard from yet tonight. Andy Nulman. If you don't know his name or him, you've been living under a rock. Juste pour rire, just for laughs. That is clearly one of his historical moments. Play the future. Air Mobile. And the reality is, all these businesses, as successful as they may be, come with plenty of darn fuck-ups. Sûr et certain. And what better person to share them with a little humor and a little humility and a little height is Andy Nulman. Please come on stage.
Thank you. All right. So let's see. Where do we begin? First of all, I'd like to start to thank Shopify. It's so nice to see what a few $1 billion can buy you these days. Wonderful to be here. And also, it's really nice to see that right now, the world of fuck-ups has a new patron saint. Does it not? Don Cherry, ladies and gentlemen, the new patron saint of fuck-ups everywhere. Let's hear it for Don Cherry, the man who had everything in his grasp and blew it just by saying something stupid. Well, I will say many things stupid tonight, ladies and gentlemen, but I don't really care. You want to know why? Because of the fact I've been in this business. I've been in business 44 years. 44 years. I am currently 50% unemployed, 50% retired, so really nothing much can happen to me that would really make me give a damn about anything. So, what I'd like to do tonight, with 44 years under my belt of work, I'd like to talk to you about a very, very special moment, because as Josh mentioned, when you work 44 years, you have your ups, your downs, and many of both. But tonight, I'd like to focus on one that I would like to call my greatest failure. Not just any failure. No. Not just a story of failure. No. My greatest failure, with a full story and with visual examples of it. Okay, so let me explain and tell you how this all began, my greatest failure. The date is May 26, 2010. And this all began the year before when my friend, who you may know him, Mitch Joel, does that name ring a bell? Mitch invited me to be not just a speaker at, but part of the organizing committee. First of all, is this loud enough? Can you all hear? Okay, wonderful. Just want to make sure. The organizing committee of the Canadian Marketing Association, and one of the things was that they want to do things a little bit differently, so they, called upon me to do, to help them out. And one of the things that was going to happen is I was going to be one of the keynote speakers. Why? Because I had Lara, don't get bored just yet. A lot more of this to come, dear. You sat through class with me at McGill. You sat with me an hour and a half each time. Don't yawn yet. Okay, where was I? I'd written a book about the element of surprise, and which, the marketing people thought was going to be a good topic, and they gave me a keynote speech. And then I got to see who else is speaking at this Canadian Marketing Association conference. And there were some mega superstars there. There were some mega stars. Debbie Travis, have you heard of Debbie Travis? Howie Mandel was speaking there. This guy Avinash, Kaushik from Google. There was Ken Wong, who was a very, very renowned Canadian academic. So there was another guy, I'm forgetting his name, but also really, really renowned marketing people, and me. So I was a little bit, how would I put this? Intimidated by this. And I said, I have to, I can't just go up there and do the same old shit. And for those of you who have been to marketing conferences or conferences like this, what's the same old shit? The same old shit is basically what I'm doing now. You pace, you point, and there's a PowerPoint. Basically, there's a PowerPoint, you pace, maybe there's a prop here and there. I call it the 3 Ps. And I said, I can't do the 3 Ps. I can't just pace, have a PowerPoint and the prop. I got to do something special. I got to basically overshadow and outshine everyone else at this Canadian Marketing Association conference. So I got to come up with something. And my book is about surprise. I can't just be up there. You have a book about surprise. Just say, here's the first point of surprise. Here's the second point about surprise. Here's the third. It's just counterintuitive, of course. So I said, what am I going to do? And this is how creativity comes to me. And comes to me is a very, very important word because of the fact I don't go looking for an answer. And this is a very, very important point about creativity. I don't go looking for it. I have to have the faith that it will find me. So I stop. I just stop looking and I just go about my day and say, let the inspiration come to me. How am I going to overshadow these people? Bang! Here's inspiration number 1. Now, this is many, many years ago. I've since sold this for practicality purposes. But for a while, I had, for me, what was a dream car. By the way, the reason I'm not walking too far is I hate to, rock into that picture because it's such a nice picture. And also it's also kind of cool to have like the light in your eye. Anyway, I had this car, this 1960 Corvette convertible, spectacular, a beautiful. I'm not a car person. I'm an aesthetic person. So to me, it was like driving a work of art. I loved it. And because it was a 1960 Corvette, I had a certain conceit, and that was this was going to be an experience for me. It's not a car. It's an experience. So the music I played was music. I had a little iPod that's I loaded it with 600 songs from 1959 to 1966. So when I was driving that car, the soundtrack would be of the era. So no matter where I was driving it, I was like in that time zone. It was beautiful. So one day I'm driving this car and I hear one of the songs on it, and it's a song by Peter and Gordon. It's called "A World Without Love." Does anybody know this song? Come on, all you young people, please tell me. Jesus H. Christ. Now you bust my balls. I have to sing this, right? It goes, well, anyway, I'm just going to sing you the chorus, because the chorus is, this is what inspired it, I don't care what they say, I won't stay in the world without love. That was a bit, you ever hear that? Please lock me away and don't allow the day. Do I have to sing the whole goddamn thing? No. Anyway, deep inside where I play with my loneliness, I don't care what I say, I won't stay with a world without love. I said, bang. A world without love, what? A world without surprise. Can you imagine what life would be like in a world without surprise? And that was it. The idea just hit me. I said, this is brilliant. A world without surprise. That's it. That's what my speech is going to be about. That's how I'm going to overshadow these people. But that was just the concept. But then I said, okay, world without surprise. Well, what got me was a song. So rather than just do, well, here's how to do surprises I mentioned before, I'm going to actually do this speech as a poem, because it was like the verses of a song. Brilliant, genius. I said, okay, rather than just standing there, I'm going to write this whole thing about surprise. My presentation to the Canadian Marketing Association, to the world's best marketers, is going to be a poem. And then I said, not enough, because one time, I said, okay, a poem. I'm going to stand there, and recite a poem like you're one of those, those hipster guys, with the little beard. And I went upon the bay of weary and the dreary. Well, I couldn't do that. I said I had to do something. So then I said, you know what? I'm in the shower and I listen to music everywhere, not just in the car, but in the shower. And I'm playing Stevie Wonder, and the song comes on, "Love's in Need of Love Today." Have you heard this from Songs in the Key of Life? And it starts off with this this choir. I said, oh my God, this is brilliant. So not only am I going to do a poem, but I'm going to do it with a choir. I'm going to be backed by a gospel choir. They're going to love this at the Canadian Marketing Association. They're going to love it because everyone's going to be up there with their goddamn FuckUp PowerPoints and doing this point 1, point 2, point 3. And I'm going to be there with a poem and a gospel choir. And then I said, not enough. Because I said, okay, so it's enough. I go up and say, hello, hi, I'd like to present the poem, and here's my choir. No, I can't just do that. I said, I have to have some semblance of packaging. I got to package this. And again, bang, the idea came to me. Who is the greatest marketing packager in the world to do stuff like this? Obviously not impressed. Either does not like poems or choirs. But Andy Kaufman. Now, does anybody know Andy Kaufman? This guy was an inspiration to me when I was writing, even before Just for Laughs. Let me tell you, I was a huge Andy Kaufman fan because he did all this bizarre stuff. He would take people, like at an event like this, he would say, we're all going out for milk and cookies after. He did it at Carnegie Hall. He would do these crazy things like go on Saturday Night Live and sing to, mime to Mighty Mouse, the Mighty Mouse team. He would do all sorts of crazy things. He would go on David Letterman with these wrestlers, and these wrestlers would slam him, and he basically screwed with people's minds and said, I'm going to do the same thing. What I'm going to do at the Canadian Marketing Association, I'm going to come on stage, and then I'm going to make it look like I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm going to run back off stage. I'm going to ask for a second chance. I'm going to come back on. I'm going to try and destabilize the audience. I'm going to try and screw up. Then what I'm going to do is, one of the screw-ups there's going to be so many screw-ups that people are going to say, is he really fucking up? Or is this an act? And at one point in time, I'm going to say, oh, Jesus Christ, look at this. I'm going to do my poem, and I've forgotten my binder. I've forgotten my notes. Can someone please bring it to me? And then I would have some guy walking on stage bring me my binder. But it wouldn't just be a guy. It would be a guy in a robe. And I'd say, well, what's the story here? What are you dressing? Is there anybody else like you? And bang, then they would all come out and line up one next to each other, the choir. And then I would do my poem, this brilliant thing, okay? So that was the whole notion. Anyway, I got to tell you something. Let me just check my notes here, make sure I didn't forget any of these, the crazy, wacky stuff they do. Oh, of course. So, oh my God, I'm happy I made notes on this. So, I was so enamored with my own concept, I said two things. First of all, I had a speaking agent who got me this gig. But the night before, because I was on the committee, I went to one of these dinners before and hung out with them. And the president of another speaking agency, a woman named Farah Perlmutter, I say this all because of the fact it's all true and you can check it up. Farah Perlmutter, head of Speaker Spotlight, agency I was with was National Speakers Bureau. Teresa Binkin was the president of that agency. She was going to be at my speech, of course, but I've had a few glasses of wine. I'm so full of myself that I'm talking to Farah. I'm saying, tomorrow I'm going to be doing this speech, and you got to come. And it's really wild with this choir and this poem. And she, oh, great. And in my mind, it's okay. Here's what I'm doing. I'm setting up competition, a war, a battle for my services. The one that I'll be like a free agent. They'll fight amongst themselves to have me as a speaker, and then shower me with all sorts of money and speeches with this brilliant concept. We'll travel the world. So I invited her to come as well. So not only did I have my speaking agent there, but I had the other speaking agent from the other. So the two of the biggest in the country coming to see this. And then I said, okay, hold on. But one of the problems of these things, just like this, is you perform this stuff and you have an audience, but no one ever gets to see it again. So I said, you know what? I'm getting paid $3,500 for this speech. I will spend every penny of it on a video. And I hired this video team, this guy, to go ahead and make sure to have it because I wanted to show it to everybody and ensure that when people wanted the speech, they can go ahead and see it and I could send it out to them. So there we go. So I had this all set up, a bidding war for my services, video, and the choir, and on top of it all, the icing on the cake. And I say the icing on the cake almost literally because I wore this, it was my clothes. I wore this pink jacket that makes Louis-Félix look like Mother Teresa in an outfit. That's how outrageous. And I say icing on the cake really because the only other place you will see the color of pink that I wore in the jacket is on a girl's birthday cake, a 3-year-old girl's birthday cake. Okay, so that's why I say it's the icing on the cake. So there it was. I was all ready, and so it's the morning of. I get on stage after all these boring academics and their goddamn PowerPoints, and I deliver this speech. And guess what? It went off without a hitch. I did that stuff. I was, I came out. They were disturbed. They didn't know if I was really doing it. The choir came on. I read this thing. I had these gorgeous images behind me. The choir was brilliant. And when it was all over, I looked into the audience, and they fucking hated me. They hated it. Now, I just got to explain to you, but these guys were sitting there, raptured by the guys before with the PowerPoint. They were sitting there taking notes on every person who was before. With me, they were like this. Okay? It was a total disconnect. I could not have done worse if I were in another city. I couldn't have done any worse about how poorly I connected with this group. Now, when I say they fucking hated me, I don't just mean they fucking hated me. Let me explain the difference between the two. Hate is, you suck, next. Fucking hate is, you wasted a half hour of my life. I want to kill you, okay? When I got off stage, they were like people with pitchforks and torches waiting for me, like in the Frankenstein movies. Oh my God, it was a true and total nightmare. And worse than that was, okay, but I told you before I was on the committee, right? I was on the committee, so I had to go to these events. I had to go, and I couldn't just shy away. So what would happen, what was amazing, I became Moses. What I mean by Moses is that people parted way, like the Red Sea. They parted as soon as I came. Whenever I walked anywhere, it was like, woof. People would move apart because, oh, here he came. Never mind that. They also did, no one would look me in the eye. So it was not just party. It was like this, looking at their phones, looking at whatever, because no one would look me in the eye because no one would be able to. That's how bad it was. So I'm going to get to the major lesson of this in a second, but you guys may not believe me. So what I'd like to do is show you some of this. Now I just got to tell you one thing. Okay, hold on. So when it's all over, I am just aghast. I get off stage and I'm saying, holy shit, I'm going to look for my speaking Farrah Perlmutter, gone. My speaking agent, gone. Choir, gone. They threw off those robes so goddamn fast. They hid into the city, because it was in Toronto. Gone. I mean, everybody in the room, gone. And there's one last person there, and it was the video guy, and he just came up to me holding these DVDs as if they were samples of Ebola, and just he was going like this to me, he didn't want to be near them. And here's your DVD, and ran away. And I had. So what I did is I took this DVD and I threw them in a drawer, and I didn't look at this for 6 years, okay? For 6 years, didn't look at it. And the only reason I did look at it, the only reason I have it out here to be able to show this to you, is I got invited to this thing a few years ago called Fail Camp that talked about this, and I said it was the world premiere of this thing, and I actually took it out of the drawer and put it into my computer, had a DVD thing in there, and I'm telling you, I pressed play. My stomach was tied in a Gordian knot that needed, I needed, what's the name of the guy who had the Gordian, who sliced it with the I needed the guy who sliced the Gordian knot with the sword to my intestines were so in knots. And when I pressed play, and I'm not kidding here, I'm not exaggerating, I'm not kidding. When I pressed play, the sweat that was pouring off me, the flop sweat, the stress. And I pressed that button. I said, "Oh God!" So I'm going to show you a bit of this now to show you I'm not making this shit up. Okay, let's go. So where do I go here? Okay, okay. Do I have this one? Hold on. Let's go to the next one. Hold on. Yeah, okay. This is me. Okay, hold on. I told you it was a pink jacket. This is me. Walking on, okay, we're not going to watch this whole thing. We're just going to show you little bits and pieces. This is me walking on the second time because the guy had such a pity for me. He didn't show the first walk on. The way I screwed up. This is the second walk on. Everybody, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how to put this, but I've created a monster, and it's called Surprise. And it doesn't really look very scary, much less a monster, but trust me, it is. Let me explain. In a nutshell, the basic theory works something like this. Okay, I can go on and on. Yes, I'm telling you, because I said there's no way I'm having a goddamn normal PowerPoint. Hold on. Whoops, what happened here? Whoops. Hold on, let's go back. Sorry. This is what happens when you let a Jew do something technologically. Hold on. Oh, I've screwed everything up. Hold on. We'll go back. All right, let's go back to the PowerPoint. Causes consumers to act. Okay, my PowerPoint was pretty cool. Less rationally and way more emotionally than normal, sort of like the way they are when people are in Disneyland. So this is all set up, by the way. Shock. I'm going to go through the different pieces of it. Streets, marketing. Hold on. And surprise is the biggest spark that I know. So it's not about Twitter, it's not about Facebook, and it's not about Yelp, and say some very... So at one point in time, I can't believe I'm screwing up, and this is pretty pedantic, so hold on, let's get to the beginning of this. It got us attention, not just attention, it got us minutes here. All the keynotes are running 20 minutes, except if your name is Howie Mandel, or Debbie Travis, or Ken Wong, or Avarash, or basically anybody else other than you, Andy. You're the only guy for 20 minutes. So I basically had to cut down this speech to 20 minutes. So I said, how am I going to do that? How am I going to bring the speech down to 20 minutes, let it retain its relevance, its credibility, and most importantly, find a way to walk the talk and do something surprising. So I said, maybe if I start a second time, that would probably be a good idea. But I said, not enough. Perhaps, let me get to this. Well, Jesus Christ. Hold on, we'll get there. I have to do, and listening to an oldie station on the radio. I'm telling the story. Surprise. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Here we go. Oh, Jesus. I'm so sorry. I forgot my notes backstage. Could someone do me a favor? Can you just I left it. There's a black binder there. Someone would just bring it. If you're a stagehand would bring it to me. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. No, it's the guy. What's the matter? The pink. He's wearing a robe. Back there? You alone? So. All right. Do what you got to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, here comes the choir. As we set up. What I'd like to do right now is present to you the first time ever. If we can get these mics working here, I'd appreciate if we can go to the boom mics here. What I'd like to do is present to you for the first time ever the world premiere of A World Without Surprise. In a world without surprise, no more can't believe my eyes. What you'd see is truly only what you get. Life would plod along as planned, all supply and no demand. Muffled colors, dreary skies, in a world with no surprise. World with no surprise. In a world without surprise, no more sevens or snake eyes. All casinos would go bankrupt overnight. Every bet would be a sure one. Games of chance, indeed a poor one. Vanished long shots, hushed loud cries, when the world has lost surprise. When the world knows no surprise is when competition dies. Our sporting life would go on life support. Games would lose their sense of fun. Before played, we'd know who won. Empty seats, no pennant flies, in the world of no surprise. Anyway, we can go on and on, but so here's, I can show you the end where it doesn't all go that way. What happens is it gets upbeat after, and it's a gospel choir, and everyone's doing that, and I'm dancing. Let me tell you, folks, you haven't lived till you've seen me dance gospel. So, what's that? You want? Okay, I can get to it. Oh my God, you guys are just evil. Hold on, let's go back. There we go. Hold on, this one. There we go. It's on this one. There we go. It's near the end. Here we go. Near perfection. Prize works, defeats resistance. This manifesto ends on... Oh, this is a good end. You look, no lame shilling for my book. In fact, no last line at all. Which I thought was brilliant. Tepid applause, ladies and gentlemen. Tepid. Thank God he's off the stage. And here comes that dance number. Here it comes. It's The Lion King, starring Andy Nulman in a pink jacket. There we go. Now let me tell you, while I am doing that, the audience is like this, like with death in their eyes. Fuck you! They're all saying in their eyes, fuck you! You made me ruin a half hour of my time watching this shit. That was what. So I'm dancing like this, and no one's taking notes. It's just death stare, death stare, death stare. So let's bring this to a merciful end. So okay, on top of everything, So I can't just walk away because I'm on the committee. So what happens at the end? We have the post-mortem, of course, where they go through the evaluation forms that every speaker got. And I am happy to say, before I give you the closing lessons, I'm happy to say that I hold the record for lowest what's it called? The lowest score ever, lowest satisfaction score ever at the Canadian Marketing Association with 15% satisfaction. They said to me, Hitler got 18, okay? Hitler got 18, you got 15. So I hold the record, ladies and gentlemen, of the worst speech ever in the history of the Canadian Marketing Association. So here are, all this said, here are the lessons. You'll notice something. When I came up here today and I talked about this, I didn't say, it's my worst failure, right? I said, it's my greatest failure. It's my greatest failure. Because, you know, this was so fucking bad. It was, even the smithereens were smashed to smithereens, okay? It was awful. It was terrible. But it was big. And it was gutsy, okay? And I looked at those people in the audience. You know what they're all wearing? They're wearing grays and navy blue and black. And they're ugly. And they're boring. And I'm saying, so fuck you guys. You know, of course, this is pearls before swine in my mind. Yeah, so it didn't work. But I'm saying, who didn't it work for? A bunch of boring marketing assholes from Toronto? Fuck you. That's the way I looked at it in the end. I had the guts to do it. You are sitting on your ass, evaluating me? That's basically the way I felt. So yeah, it was my greatest failure because it was big. It was an idea, and I tried something. And you know what? I may have like crashed and burned, but at least I had the guts to jump off the goddamn cliff, okay? Unlike the people who walked and gave their goddamn, PowerPoints with 16 points on them, I had the guts to at least walk off the cliff. So here is the story about failure. Okay, this is what I've learned. I've learned this my whole life. Failure is a temporary state. It doesn't last. It doesn't last at all. Why do I know this? Because you think I felt good after this? I was dying. I was in my room. I swear. Literally, I said, if I jump, I can get rid of this feeling and I'll never have to deal with this again. But no, I have to go to the party and deal with all these people. You think I felt good about it? No, I felt miserable. I felt awful. I felt awful the rest of the conference. I felt awful for about a week. But now I can sit here and laugh about it with you guys, okay? That shows you what happens with failure. It's a temporary state. It doesn't last. It diminishes over time. And I got to tell you something. I'm just going to tell you how hardened this made me. First of all, failure also is necessary. You want to know why? Because failure defines successes. Without failure, there's no success. It's, you can't see black without white. You need one for the other. It's important, it's imperative, and it's necessary, and it doesn't last. But I'll also tell you another thing. It hardens your ass. It hardens your ass big, big, big time. It hardens your ass big time because a few years later, I gave another speech, and it was for Century 21. This is my biggest payday in my life at this point. $10,000 to give a speech for Century 21. And I said, well, what do you want? They said, oh, just tell stories about your life just for laughs. I said, I don't know. I don't know if that's really great because everyone hears, but it's about selling homes. No, don't worry about it. And I looked at the lineup. I looked at who's going to be there, what they're talking about. And it was how to sell more homes, curbside appeal for more homes, how to stage a home so you'll sell more homes. What scents you could put in the home. So when people walk in, they say, it smells good, so I'll buy a home. It was all that. And then Andy Nulman tells stories about his life, and then how to sell more homes and what to do, and how to put flowers in your home and what to do, and all sorts of shit to sell homes, and me. So anyway, I went up there at the Sheraton Center downtown, and I went, hi everyone, blah blah blah, and let's talk stories of my life, and blah blah blah. And you start seeing people just saying, okay. Within 3 minutes, they start leaving, and then suddenly, half the room is empty, and 3/4 of the room is empty, and they're all leaving. But I'm saying it's $10,000. Fuck you. My next story, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm talking about this and telling the story. Anyway, I'm saying I'm not giving up. I'm fighting like a son of a bitch. Until what happened was, while I'm talking. You talk about humiliation. The head of the conference comes up, walks on stage while I'm talking, does this. Takes the mic out of my hand and says, thank you, Andy Nulman, ladies and gentlemen. Our next speaker to teach you about how to sell more homes. And then I had to walk through, a room that's 1/4 full, but then I had to walk through the lobby, which was totally full. And guess what I saw again? And Moses. But I got to tell you something. So I felt bad. And I took the elevator down. If you know where the Sheraton Center is on René Lévesque, took the elevator down to the lobby, walked out. It's on Drummond. Is it Drummond or Stanley? Stanley Street, right? Stanley and René Lévesque. I walked up to Stanley, up to St. Catherine. By that time, it was over. Fuck you. I felt good. I said, okay, that's life. But I was hardened by it. I was hardened because of this. I said, so it didn't work. Fuck you. And I went back to work. And I said, okay, that didn't work. But that was the beauty of it, because I realized, hey, shit like this happens. So there we go. So it hardened me. So last and certainly not least, get your feet off that stair. Don't worry. What I realized when I went back and watched this, okay, as horrid as I thought it was, I went back and I said, you know what? It's not that bad. It's not that bad. I made some points early on. I made points in the poem. It was actually quite clever. It just wasn't right for the audience. They were not ready for me. It wasn't that it wasn't bad. They were bad. And in the end, this failure comes and teaches me that it basically goes full circle. So you talked about learning before, but learning from your failure, this is one of the greatest learnings of my life. That nobody, what's the expression? In fact, it's in The Handmaid's Tale, never let the bastards get you down. Never let the bastards get you down. So there we go. And for that, ladies and gentlemen, I will close this off by dancing for you one more time. No, I will not. It's over. Thank you. Yes, some questions, ladies and gentlemen.
So you mentioned it might not have been the right audience, and you're probably right. Have you ever thought of trying it again? Like just revisiting that whole skit?
That's a very, very good question, but I'll tell you, I have more success telling the story about the failure than I do telling the story than redoing it. Although I got to tell you something. There was a book which I have here, which tells the story in full. It's called. Oops, it's such a great title. This is the title of a book that will never sell, which is perfect because it basically serves its point. It's called Canadian Failures. I mean, you cannot have a shittier title for a book in your life, Canadian Failures. But I tell the story in here about that. And one of the things is, I've been booked to tell the story about the failure more often than I've done. But what I did is in that book, I put the poem in there, and I read it, and I'm, you know what? It's pretty smart. It's really, really pretty smart. But sometimes, and I got to tell you, this has really been the DNA of my career. The DNA of my career has been to really, unfortunately, and many times be ahead of my time. Just for laughs, when we started that, there was no such thing as a comedy festival. Nobody believed in it in '85 when we were out there pushing it in the States. They said, a comedy festival in Montreal? Are you nuts? What are you talking about? When we started Airborne Mobile in 1999, myself and Garner Bornstein, entertainment on cell phones, what are you talking about? And we said, one day people are going to watch TV on these things. I said, yeah, right, okay, yeah. So same thing with what I did at a company called Play the Future, which is about making. We said if it can be measured, it can be played. The same way you bet on sports, you bet on everything. Like how long is Andy going to talk tonight? So, but basically, it's being ahead of the game. So. That's the nature of the beast. Sometimes you have to wait for the world to catch up with you. And so is that a failure or is that just pissy timing? I don't know. But would I ever do this again? I don't know. Maybe, people have reunion tours. You never know. My next projects, thank you. I can repeat the question unless they're really complex, like 8-parters. I'd like to ask you, but my next projects, you know what? I got to tell you something. Right now, I'm working on a play. We're working on developing Les Belles Sœurs as a musical in English, bringing it to Broadway. We're actually quite advanced in doing that. We've raised money. We've had a reading. And it's really moving quite well. But really, my next projects right now are to sit on my ass and nod at stupid things. I think that's really one of my goals in life, to sit on my ass and do this. That's really the goal. What I was telling this to Dan before. I'm at this point in life where I just want. Maybe it's selfish, maybe it's lazy, maybe it's I don't know what. But I just want things to come to me for a change. 44 years of busting my balls and 44 years of going out there and hustling. it's enough. I just want people to come to me and kiss my ass and offer me things. And if they don't, that's fine. That's fine. I have stuff to read. I have my dog to walk. I'll play hockey. I'll go to the gym. I have plenty to do. But really, my next projects are what people will come to me and throw in my lap. That's really, so if you got something, I'm listening. So there, but that's really it. That's really, I wish I could be more eloquent than that, but I can't.
Andy, you've worked with so many creative people in your life, notwithstanding yourself. How do you deal with the artistes?
That is a very, very important question, because I think, and I have to say this, I think people, the majority of people dislike artists. They dislike them, they're afraid of them, they're suspicious of them. And I'm looking at Alain, a friend of mine, Alain Simon, who's really one of the great, but he's not florist, he doesn't just throw flowers together. He uses flowers to create art and create moods. People, I gotta say, I would think that most of the time people are afraid of a guy like Alain, and afraid of artists, and afraid of creative people, and everyone says this all the time. We want to be different, we want to be crazy. I've had this so often where people have come to me as a consultant, they would say, we want to do things nuts, we want to be crazy, we want to do things different. Okay, how about this? Well, that's too crazy, that's too nuts. You dial it down a bit. How about this? A little much. What about this? Just a little bit less. Okay, how about this? Perfect. I said, well, that's what you're doing right now. Status quo. It's exactly what you're doing. So you don't want to change. People want others to change before them, and then they'll follow. So same thing with artists. I find that people are suspicious. They're afraid. They are distrustful. And that's a drag, because artists do change the world in every way, shape, and form. I'm just looking at that clock there. Somebody designed that clock, because a clock used to be like this, right, with two hands, and somebody had to design that, and that's an artist thinking. Shopify, it's an artist thinking to say, hey, how do we take business and how do we make business applicable, and how do we make it easy for businesses to do business on the internet? That's an artist thought, but the problem is people are suspicious of it. I see this all the time. I saw this trying to raise money for companies, where people are going ahead and how do you raise money for companies? Who else is doing it? The first question they would ask, who else is doing it? Nobody's doing it. Nobody's doing it. Well, it can't be any good then. How many times I heard that? Nobody's doing it. Can't be any good. Come back to us when there's other people doing it. What the fuck are you talking about? It happens. So that's how do you deal with the artiste? In my mind, you respect them, you listen to them, and you let them play. But in many cases, that ain't happening. So that's that. That's how I deal with them.
All right, Andy, thank you for the speech. When you were telling us about your idea and how it came to you and how it grew sort of on you, I was reminded of one of the projects we did together, and I run into this with project managers all the time. We get into crazy ideas, and it's sort of like we invite you to something, and you start doing this, and you start taking risks that for most people would be beyond their ability to manage that risk. And I feel in the way you told the story that you were sort of blind to the risk you were taking. And I wonder how you make the link between sort of that blindness to risk versus being averse to risk and potential failure.
Because the win, the gain from the win is always more than the what would you call it? Than the pain from the loss. The gain from the win is way more than the pain from the loss. And people, that's the problem. There's so many psychological studies where people talk about risk aversion, and they talk about gambling wise, and you know what I'm talking about. You can look it all up because it's all there about risk aversion and all that. But I've always found that the win of doing something different, it's the elation, the delta between that versus, okay, there's the pain of a loss. I can deal with it. But it's funny what people consider. That's why it's funny what people consider to be risky. And I'm telling you, I'm not making this up. This to some people is risky. This is risky. Oh my God, look at him. He's lying on the stage. He's kicking his feet. He's crazy. Oh my God. I mean, some people would never do that. What speaker in the world have you ever seen lie on the stage and kick his feet? You know how easy that is? So what? So what? But people won't do it. Why? Oh, I can't. It defeats the norm. People will stand. I won't do it, but they'll. I can stand on the table, run on the table. And I saw it so funny. I watched it in your eyes, guys. When I went to this. What was this woman's name here? Stephanie, I didn't know her name, but I went to her and I called her somebody else's name because I personified her in the street. I went like this to her, and as I got close, I saw her get nervous. I saw these guys get nervous. Why? Because I broke the wall. Oh, he's off the stage. He's crazy. What's he going to do? But that's it. In the end, it's so small sometimes, the difference between doing the status quo and having a bit of fun, but people are afraid to do it. So it happens to me all the time. Like tonight, I'm so conservative. It's unbelievable. I can't believe I'm this conservative dressed today, but not with the jewelry at least. But people will say to me all the time, oh, I wish I could wear jewelry like that. I said, well, why can't you? Oh, I could never do it. Why? When was the last time you tried on the bracelet? Never. Okay, well, ta-da! Well, of course it's not going to happen. So, people have to stop worrying about lose. And so I had this discussion. Dominique Anglade. Do you know who Dominique Anglade is? Thank you, politically savvy people here. She's running for the Liberal leadership, and I was invited to some dinner, and we were talking. And I know Dominique really, really well. We were on CTV News together, where we're old friends. We were just talking. I said, Dominique, you're going for this leadership thing. Who am I? I'm just a schmucky guy who's done some wacky things in his life. You're a politician. But if I can give you a bit of advice, here's the advice I give you: don't be afraid to lose. Don't be afraid to lose. Do something that you go out there and really. But if you're going to go ahead and just play to not lose, you are going to lose. And it's the same thing when I play hockey. It's the same thing when I play hockey. If I go there and try and play conservatively, I'm going to fall on my ass, and someone's going to take the puck away from me. If I'm hell bent for leather, I still may not do well, but at least I have the chance. So what I told her, don't be afraid to lose. Just go out there and do what you got to do. And if you lose, so what? But if you play it too conservative, you're dead. You're dead. You're history. You're a black woman running for a leadership of a provincial party. You have to do things differently. If you try and play it conservatively and safe, you're dead. So go out there and don't be afraid to lose. I guess that's the one thing I would say. Don't be afraid to lose. And that because the win. Thank you. The delta, so stupid. I hate these things. The delta from the win is way more important than the pain from the loss. All right. Anyone else? You don't have to clap. Whoa. Go. One last question. Oh, but then this guy too. Okay, we'll have two. I'll make them short. Believe it or not.
I'm just wondering though, because you talk so much about don't play it safe, but how did you do it after that moment when you felt your weight complete shit? How did you sort of overcome that emotional defeat so that next time did you play it safe?
Nope.
You immediately
Yep. Because a week later, so many other things happen. My son had to deal with something. My wife had to deal with something. I had to deal with some business things. Whatever. Other stuff gets in your way, and life comes, and you say, this is what's really important. Not being trying to do something different on stage. Because you realize that it doesn't last. This stuff doesn't last. Life comes in, and all sorts of stuff comes. It's like a sponge. Suddenly, you're filled with all sorts of water and stains and sauces and coffees. It's all comes in, and you're just going to say, I've got to do this again. You cannot. It's the same when it's such an old cliche. You fall off a bike, get back on. You fall off a horse, get back on. You fall on your ass playing hockey, stand up and keep skating. That's it. I spoke to a friend the other day. He lost his biggest client. Okay, what do you do? Find another client. What's the option? So, you can't, never let the bastards get you down. I always never let the bastards get you down. Look, we worked together on those videos, right? It was very easy for us to say, okay, hello, I'm Andy Nulman. I will be speaking at I was going to say Startup Fest. I'll be speaking at FuckUp Nights. Please come watch me, and please give money to the SBC. But we said, no, we're not going to do that. Let's do something fun. Let's take a risk. And the result was great. So, it's easy. I got to tell you another thing. It's easy to say, not that easy to do until you do it. Until you do it once, and then you do it again, and it gets a little easier. It's never easy. But you know what's easy? Doing the status quo and not feeling good about yourself. That's real easy. And the last, what are those touchy-feely wellness, meditation, mindfulness person you will ever find. Okay? Don't believe in that stuff at all. What I do believe, though, is the world will influence you. So what I just do, as I mentioned before, like I just let stuff come to me. And you walk the streets in Montreal. I find the less I drive, which is almost nothing now, the more I walk, the more I can take in. You just keep your eyes open, you see what's around you, and things will inspire you, and things will say, oh, geez, and you'll say, wow, look at that. Look what this person did. Oh, man, look at this cake made of, it's a cake made of the candy. And there are certain things you will see that will inspire you, and bit by bit, they will just, aggregate into inspiration. So I just let the world, I know it sounds wacky, but I let the world inspire me. I'll walk and see things and say, that's pretty cool. Wow, look what this person did. Look what this group did. Look what this person had the guts to do. Paint their house differently, plant this, whatever it is. So I usually I let the world come to me. And I got to tell you another thing. Again, one thing that does not scare me at all, used to, not anymore, is a blank page. And some, I'll just give one last example. I have to write this. I write this thing. It's kind of goofy, but the sponsor song for an event I host every year called the Battle of the Bands, Maimonides Battle of the Bands. And the reason I wrote it is because when I would get up on stage and thank the sponsors, no one listened, and we raised $350,000 from all these people giving money. And I would make a list and talk about it, and no one listened. They talked amongst themselves, and I'm saying that's a drag. These people put all this money, and no one gives a shit. So I said, how do we make them give a shit? I'm going to write a song. So the last year, I wrote a song to the tune of These Are a Few of My Favorite Things. It was called These Are the People Who Sponsor Our Show. And we included the sponsors, every name in the song, and it rhymed. It was clever. It was like it was a little twist from here and there. And it went really, really well. So what happens this year? You got to write another sponsor song. Holy shit! And there's certain things that rhyme with Dagwoods and Thin Addictives and holy shit. What am I going to do? The National Bank. But the point is, I had that blank page in front of me, and I said, I got to do it. And you know what? Sometimes it takes an hour. Sometimes it takes a minute. Sometimes it takes 4 days. But it comes because I didn't know what song I was going to do, but it just hit me one time. Oh my God, blowing in the wind. Hold on a second, I got it. The sponsors, my friend, are showing how to spend. The sponsors are showing how to spend. Perfect. How many banks does it take to convince to sponsor a fundraising show? National Bank is on top of the list. So smoke up their ass, we must blow. Oh, great, now it's coming. And suddenly it just all came. But that's because I wasn't afraid that it would come. And that's really what it's all about. It's the fear. We hold ourselves back all the time. We're our own worst enemies, and we have it in ourselves to do it, but we don't believe in ourselves that much, and that's a drag. We have to wait for other people to believe in us, like me waiting for my next projects. There we go. So let the world inspire you, and let yourself inspire you, and you'll see how easy it will be from here on in.
Ladies and gentlemen, Andy Nulman.
This has been a production of TNKI Media. Good talk.